Well, here we go.
Here we
go.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to one. Cheers to cheers to us all. Well, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm talking with Terri Freeman, who's been a performer and a singer alongside her husband, Eric, and also running a folk club in Washington. I suppose the first thing that I want to ask you is really, do you have a background within your family of performers?
Not performers, no, not really. My dad could play the piano and he was a really good singer, and he and my mum used to sing duets together very nicely, but only in a very amateur way in the house, nobody ever. And none of my family are particularly musical.
Alright, so that's quite strange then.
Yes.
And then you decided to start playing, but what kind of music did you listen to? I mean...
anything when I was very young, 1920s music, anything, Frank Sinatra, whatever. As a teenager, I listened to the pop charts. And I suppose, really, folk music started to creep into the pop charts, didn't it? With Dylan
like the Dubliners and the Spinners and people like this.
Yes, and Brian Hyland and the Kinks, and they were all doing sort of slightly folky stuff, and it was quite... Well, when I was a teenager, it was quite cool to like folk music, but I hadn't really discovered it.
Right.
And what happened was, Eric and I, as you probably know, were caught when we were very, very young, and we'd fallen out temporarily. And he'd discovered a folk club in Sunderland at the Grindon Mill.
All right.
And then he bought a guitar for 2 and 6 from an old friend.
Why were all these instruments always 2 and 6? They always cost like $50. Yeah.
Well, this was, honestly, it was pathetic. But it was, it had no frets at the top, they'd all worn out. So Eric, being a joiner, took the ones out the bottom, knowing he would never go up the dusty end, and put them in the top, and taught himself to play the guitar with just, a guitar which only had half the frets on.
Right.
And then by the time we, got back to friends again, he'd gone to the folk club and he taught himself a few songs. So we started to just learn folk songs together, really.
Do you think that the fact that when your mum and dad used to sing together, that gave you that impetus towards harmony singing almost?
I don't know, maybe it did, because I did sing harmonies, yeah. I've always been able to sing harmonies. I never had to sort of learn how to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're always perfect, but it just seems to come naturally to me to sing.
Of course, I mean, I'm very envious of anybody who sings harmony.
Yeah, Eric can't sing harmonies either, although he's a great singer. I reckon that.
Maybe it's an ego thing. I always tend to go for the top note,
yes,
so this is me.
And
Can
I'm
you
in
see
charge.
me? Yeah, and I'm in charge. Yeah, I mean, I did always find that. So when my first recollection of seeing the both of you together, you did quite a lot of traditional biased songs. Mm-hmm. Was that the first?
Well, yeah, I mean, really, that was what people did. In fact, we bought 2 records. We bought the Halliard, the Irish in Me, with Nick Jones, and we learned every single song on that album and sang it regardless of whether it suited us or not. But and then we had a Pete Seeger record as well, so we learned a bit of American stuff. But mostly it was Irish traditional, and we were so petrified at the time of speaking in front of the public. We didn't mind singing, but we wouldn't speak. That we never introduced our songs, we just used to get up and sing them. And a lot of people thought we were Irish because we sang such a lot of Irish songs.
Did you sing them with an Irish
twang?
twang?
Probably did.
Didn't we all? Yeah.
Absolutely. You just sang them the way you heard them, didn't you? I mean, I suppose in the same way as teenagers now listen to pop music and they're all singing an American accent.
Well, I've got to say that Johnny Handel spoke about this and said, you'll have somebody with the broadest Scottish accent, and then they start singing with an American twang like that.
It sounds completely artificial, doesn't it?
Well, it's
what they do. It's what they do.
It's completely accepted. I mean, I think we all lapse into it every now and again, especially if it's...
Well, you see, I just sang a Scottish song the other day, which I learned from Ray Fisher, and I sang. But sometimes the rhymes don't work if you don't sing it in the dialect, so you've got to sometimes just go along with that. But I felt quite happy to sing it in the Scots accent.
But there was at that time there was a kind of a tendency to almost authenticate your folkiness
Yes.
by adopting a Scottish or an Irish accent.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So if you did a mixture of songs, you'd be like a multi-accented.
Yeah.
These were simpler times indeed. But now, I mean, with Eric, your repertoire is much broader, much more eclectic, I would say.
It is, I think, but yeah.
What is it? I suppose what I'm really asking you is, what is it that draws you towards a song?
I need to feel it. I need to have it needs to say something to me personally. I've never been, since I was very young and learned everything I could possibly get a hold of, I've never been able to sing a song that didn't mean anything to us, I think. So we so often political songs, you know, you've got to sort of agree with the themes, I suppose. And I don't know what it is. I just know when I hear a song, I want to sing that.
Right. I mean, because it's incredibly broad. I mean, like you say, free, like American songs as well. So,
yeah.
So it's really about the feeling.
I think so. Yeah. I sometimes look at things like, this is controversial, songs like sea shanties, and I think I couldn't be bothered to learn that because I don't know of it. I don't know any, you know. I couldn't feel. There's no emotion involved.
Right.
In a sea shanty, is there? You know, but then again, it's a work song. That's not what it's intended.
Yeah. I mean, there is quite a variety of like sea shanties
and sea songs.
And sea songs, yeah. But I mean, it's about the audience participation, which people love.
You do? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, these anthems that people sing, I love to be in the audience when anybody's singing them, but I don't know if I would like to sing songs like that because you only get the first line out and then they're not listening to you, they're just singing along, you know.
Right, yeah. But I mean,
so that's lovely for communal singing.
Yes.
Whereas a performer, it doesn't do much for me, certainly.
Well, I know I never ever sing sea shanties.
No.
No matter how desperate I am to try and get people to sing. It's mostly because I get seasick on the ferry from North Shields to South Shields, which is a trip of about 7 minutes, you know, so I don't have that kind of affinity. But I appreciate that. I mean, that's one of the things that I was going to ask you about. I mean, you get to see the folk scene from both sides of the fences, really. Yes. I mean, as a performer and as a club organiser. I mean, you started running the club 40 odd years ago, was it?
Yeah, 1974. I think
1974, so 44 years ago. And I mean, how do you feel that's helped you to sort of gauge what's happening within the folk scene?
I suppose it has to a great extent, but I don't know whether the folk scene in the northeast is the same as the folk scene down south. I think it's it's always been a much more professional. Let me think. I don't quite know what I mean here. There's always been agents and, you know, professional singers, and I think the northeast sort of held out against that to a large extent. And people, the northeast there are far more singers,
yes,
and musicians in the northeast than you would get in an average club down south.
Yes,
I think because people go to see a performance there,
right.
Whereas here it's much more. Maybe I don't know.
I know what you mean. I mean, there's just been like so many people who've come from the northeast, if you think about it. I find that very interesting when you're saying that it is more almost bordering on show business now.
Yes.
That like an agent's pushing somebody to be...
And that was something we resisted, certainly when we were first running the folk club. We didn't want that professionalism. We wanted it to be, folk music is, you know, for ordinary people.
Right.
And I think there was a lot of resistance to that.
Right, okay. When you're saying like professionalism, you want it to be more like grew socially,
yes,
rather than like
so.
External business, like pushing its ideas.
I want to see excellence, but I didn't necessarily want to give an agent a percentage. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Oh, well, that's very interesting. That's very interesting because, you know, it used to be that people would be desperate to get on an agent's books so that they would make them, and I use the term very loosely, a star.
Yes. Like
on the folk scene. I mean, this is like big fish in small ponds kind of thing. So, do you think that it's reverted back to a more socially driven, or is it still being agent?
I think it still is. I mean, I think young people coming into folk music now have a much more, a much wider view of what they can make it, that they can make a career of it. But
I love the word career. Career music performance, yes.
In inverted commas.
Yeah.
But the old guard here, I think in the northeast, certainly they're all keeping it going. A lot of these afternoon clubs and things, you know, but they're all still at it, and it's very much, you know, let's just enjoy each other's company and sing each other's songs. So there sort of seems to be two aspects to it now.
I do understand what you mean. I mean, there are these afternoon get-togethers where the people who are perhaps, say, of an age,
yes,
let's say,
of an age,
they are of an age, who, and you would get like maybe 20 to 21 performers.
That's right.
And a 2.5 hour set, and there's nobody gets up and does like a guest spot.
No,
it's just everybody sings. I mean, I hosted one at the Central,
right.
and there were 21.
That's one
the one that Pickford goes to,
yeah.
Which was very fortuitous for me, you know, to see people like this who are all very encouraging, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's many a folk club who would die to have that many singers on one performance.
Absolutely.
And you know, some of them, I mean, there's one just down the road in Stanley where they've got 17 or so performers in an afternoon at the White Room.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
I haven't been there, but
all great. I mean, Jack Burness is like a fabulous singer, and you know, incredibly funny and very scathing. But you know, this is what we've come to. It was another point I'd like to mention is you're talking about like these young singers on the folk scene. There does seem to have been like a bit of a shift from, say, like an old guard where. I remember once I brought out an album and traditional folk music, and somebody said it was very old-fashioned, which really made me laugh, because I thought that was the whole idea. You know, it's music that's anywhere up to like 1,000 to 1,800 years old.
That's right.
And they said the folk music was old-fashioned, and I'm like, that's what I was aiming for. You know.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, thank you very much for the strange compliment. I think what they meant was, it wasn't like the highly polished, produced, you know, never a note wrong kind of thing, which I'm a great believer in, that it should sound like a human being.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and if you have to cough in the middle of a song, then you clear your throat. You know, that's just how it is. You know, have a second try. If you can't get rid of that, then that's the one you use. You know, the John Cale thing. If you've had 4 takes, that's it.
Yes,
you know,
that's
stop.
quite enough.
Yeah, that's quite enough. Everybody's sick of it.
That's the best you can do.
That's it. But it's not meant to be, you know, like Woodstock on a.
Well, that's
on
the
a
appeal of it for me, that it's accessible to everybody, and you know, everybody can do it in their own little way.
Yes.
And you, as I said before, I sort of strive to achieve excellence. Very rarely achieve it, and excellence is great. And you know, we all have our own favourite performers. I say, that's just perfection. But it doesn't matter if you're not perfect, and there are grades of it all the way up to the top. Really,
we're going to be very careful that we don't wind up sounding like our parents. As long as you've done your best. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
But you know.
This thing about getting back to what you said about young people, though, I think it is different, because when we first went, I mean, the folk clubs were blooming when I was a teenager, really. But we sort of revered the source singers, and you know, the Fred Jordans and the Elliots of Birdley and people like that. We did revere, and we wanted to spend time listening to them and in their company. And I don't know if that's the case anymore. I think the young people, although I have to say, we at the Davey Lamp, in fact we're going to do another one soon, we always ask the students from the degree course to come over and put on a night and you know, give them free rein to do what they want to do, and that's lovely. But I think we're inviting them, and I think we've built up a tradition there of doing that, but I don't know that a lot of the young singers want to spend time with us old fogies as a general thing. They don't seem to sort of come to the